Marty, Jasmin, this is a special live stream. This is a special video that we're putting up tonight. Got the both of you in tonight. I had you booked, Jasmin, and Jasper, Sunshine. And Jasper had an emergency. He had to deck out. He couldn't come. And Marty was supposed to be on the usual Wednesday, but that got moved around because of the debate. So here we are. We're doing a special one. This is today. Now, this is an interesting time. We're in probably the most, crucial election in Canadian history, in recent history, at least. This could be the beginning of the end of Canada, or this could be the beginning of the next era of Canada. I'm setting the stage here. I got to set the stage. So this is where we're at. It's very crucial, and it's very much an ideological battle. We have free markets and economies and capitalism versus Marxism, central authority, central planning. This is where we're going with this. Of course, Marty, I'm going to give you the stage first because I see you're like ready to go. What are you saying?
I actually still can't believe that this is something we're debating. Like, I mean, to me, I just lived through 10 years. Like, by every measure that matters to a typical Canadian, we are worse off now than we were in 2014. Like, Poilievre talks about the lost decade. That's a reality, right? Like, cost of living is higher up, standard of living is down, taxes are up, crime is up, housing is unaffordable, unemployment's high, insurance or inflation today 2.3%. Like, by every measure that matters to us, we're worse off. And somehow or other, the fact that the Liberals still are trending even on the positive side, like that they're still a party, blows me away. Like,
absolutely.
Like, where's everybody living? Under a rock in a bubble somewhere? Like, I don't get it. Like, look around you folks. Yeah.
Well, let's pull it up on the screen.
There's a lot of people who are so privileged, though. They just don't even, I feel like they just don't even care. They're like, I don't know, my life's fine, so whatever.
Yeah. Well, and it's reflecting. So here we have it. We're looking at 338 Canada, and this is the polling right now. So the polling, and like we're even looking at Quebec. Quebec flipped. They were for the Bloc Québécois, and now they're trending for the Liberals. Majority. Ontario trending for the Liberals across the board, except Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba. That's where we're at right now, and this is a big flip. So everybody's arguing about this. There's a ton of argument. Don't trust the polls is something that's being said out there. But I think there's actual rationale for this. And I'm going to pitch this forward. So the rationale being that Canadians tend to vote Liberal. Like it goes that way. And we can all, see that's been the case for a long time. And when Justin Trudeau, after 10 years of him, he killed the brand. He royally screwed that brand. But the brand still, so basically people were contacting their MPs and they're saying, we like you. We like you, Liberal MP in our riding. We hate Justin Trudeau. We're not going to vote for you if Justin Trudeau is the leader. So they ousted him. They got rid of him. And now they have a bounce back. I don't think it's just some anomaly. I don't think it's just cheating in the polls. I think that there's legitimately a lot of people that are going back to the Liberal Party because it's their comfort zone. And they think that as long as Justin Trudeau is not the guy, he's not going to want to be ruining it. They'll fix it. What do you think, Jasmin?
Yeah, I agree with that 110%. It's actually kind of interesting. I have one of my best friends. She recently moved out to Alberta and she was in town over the weekend. And she is definitely a Liberal by all accounts. And she came to me and she was like, I know exactly where you stand politically. I don't understand what's happening right now because even though I would consider myself to be a Liberal in my values and how I want things to happen, the choice is clear. I'm voting Conservative this election. And I was like, welcome. Hi. Thank you. But she said to me, she's like, she had so many questions for me about different things that she has seen in all of the online spaces and whatnot. Social media algorithm shit. Sorry for that. But like just nonsense that is going around about this Trump rhetoric and people who are so anti-conservatives. And she said, she's like, this sounds crazy. I don't understand it. There's all of these hashtags trending and all, like, what is going on right now? And I don't understand, like, what's happening, because like everything sucks. I'm voting conservative for the first time in my life because everything sucks. And I know that this isn't going to be any change whatsoever. And she was trying to get me to rationalize it for her. And I literally said, I'm like, I don't really know what to tell you other than the fact that people have like absolutely lost their minds. That's kind of just what it seems like. Like there is just such an insane, echo chamber. And I don't mean to put two and two together here, but we went through a very similar echo chamber a number of years ago where things were absolutely crazy. And there was this huge divide in the public between right and wrong and truth and lies, misinformation, like it just all of these things. And I feel as though we're very much experiencing that again right now. But because of people's pride and their ego, they refuse to hear anything else. They don't want to hear anything else. And they think that they're moral and virtuous for supporting the Liberal Party because the Liberal Party has been telling them that people like us are, these awful ists and phobes and, stay away from those guys. And I just feel like it's been this very long social experiment that they kind of tested the waters a while back, and here we are again. And it's like, hey, yep, let's use so many of these same tactics. Let's really divide people, pit them against each other. And you're a good person if you like me. You're a bad, nasty person if you like the other guy. And it's really, really worked. I don't think institutions help in the slightest either, though. I mean, I have a number of friends who are school teachers in both, for adolescent and also adults. And the way that they think and process and the things that they believe could not be more opposite from my own. And I was never in post-secondary school ever. So I don't know. It's just so crazy to see those differences of where people are coming from in their life experience and what influences them compared to me, who like I grew up in the bush in the middle of nowhere and am a redneck through and through. So it's just such a wild, different life. And it's really scary. I don't understand it in the slightest, but it's really scary.
I see the hamster turning there, Marty. What do you?
No. I'm trying to digest everything she said. I mean, I agree. Like, yeah, I mean, we're in violent agreement. There's no doubt about that. I'm doing the same thing. We're all trying to rationalize what's happening, and I guess we're all coming to sort of different conclusions about what's happening. I mean, Jasmin was talking, like what you're describing is the mass psychosis that occurred during COVID. And then did we get overtaken by this psychosis again? I think to a certain extent, yes. Like we hadn't come out of COVID. And, and people are actually, I'm rambling a little bit. What happened during COVID and what's happening now is the same thing. It's fear, right? Like we have people that are just become so scared shitless, and then they'll just grasp onto something to give them a certain feeling of certainty or whatever, and I think that's what's happening right now. Like I mean, to be honest, yeah, I'm at a loss. I cannot understand what's going on right now. Like back to what you said, Clyde, I do believe the polls. Okay, like I've looked at the polls a lot. And sure, there's a little bit of manipulation. The polling companies are paid by somebody, so they try to deliver something to meet the requirements of who's paying them. But at the end of the day, the polls are fairly. I believe in the polls, and the Liberals are leading, and I'm at a loss to explain it. I mean, is it a massive?
Well, I think there's a few
fear? Is it
things.
The institutions playing against us? It's all those things.
Well, I think with two solid things, the getting rid of Justin Trudeau for the Liberals, that was a big boon for them. They got a lot of support back as soon as he was gone from people I think that are just looking at surface level stuff, right? They think that Justin Trudeau's gone. Oh, he was the bad guy. Everyone didn't like him.
Can you imagine if he wasn't gone? Can you imagine if he had been defeated? Let's say back in whatever, like in February, if he had been properly defeated in a non-confidence vote, and then the Liberals were launched into an election and had to scramble and be campaigning right now, it would be, we wouldn't even be talking.
Yeah, no, we wouldn't be talking about this at all. It would be just where the Conservatives were. But then add on top of this, the fear that the Liberals were very good at drumming up about Donald Trump. And let's be clear, Donald Trump's situation was looming for a long time. It wasn't like they didn't have any foresight for this happening. He'd been talking about tariffs all through the election. He won the election. He was, it was an ongoing thing. They knew about this, but they were very good. And this is where I think the Liberals are very good at politics. And it's horrible politics at the end of the day. It's division. It's pitting people against each other and using fear tactics. They did it all through COVID. They did it all through their career, as Justin Trudeau is an expert at it. And the Liberals learned from that, and they pit Canadians against Americans. This is the thing. This is the thing now. And, elbows up, the whole routine. And it's disgusting. I mean, in my personal opinion, it's disgusting. I mean, I'm a dual citizen, so I've dealt with the underlying hatred of Americans for my whole life, and talking to people, I hear about it a lot. And what I find is, I think that it's starting to wane a little bit. And this is amazing, because the United States hasn't really been talking about this. You haven't heard much about Canada from Trump in the past week or so. So I gotta show you this clip, because it's gonna crack you up. This is legit Canadian press trying to drum things up even further, just to keep what's going on in the polls continued.
President Trump's tone when it comes to Canada-U.S. relations, Canadians have noticed it's shifted a bit in the past few weeks. Ever since the election campaign started, he stopped talking about Canada becoming the 51st state, at least publicly. I'm wondering if that's on purpose, and why.
I would reject the president's position on Canada has shifted. Perhaps he just hasn't been asked about Canada by questions from this group in the Oval Office, but they see him almost every day. But the president still maintains his position on Canada. The United States has been subsidizing Canada's national defense, and he believes that Canadians would benefit greatly from becoming the 51st state of the United States of America. As for autos,
if I may.
And that is them just poking the bear, trying to drum it up even further. Keep it going. Keep that thing going, because we need more votes. At the end of the day, I think everyone in this election, they're all looking at the U.S. the same way. Negotiate in real terms. But when it comes to the election, the Liberals are hamming it up. The NDP are hamming it up, but nobody's listening to them. Everybody else, you know what I mean? It really is a tactic. And I wish Canadians could wake up to this, because I think the polling would change if people realized blatantly that this is them being manipulated to go to the polls and vote for the Liberals. But if
you try to tell them that, then they say, "Oh my gosh, you're such a maggot." And I'm like, "Holy crap, Sandra, you're 45 years old. Like, go hang out with your kids." But, "Oh, you're a maggot. You're such a traitor." Get wrecked. Like, I'm so tired of that narrative, because it's total BS. It just drives me insane. And you know what? I talked about this at length in both yesterday and today's videos that I posted on my channel, where the US, like, what is happening here? If you have even just, I don't know, half a brain cell, it is so obvious at this point what is going on. And they don't want you to know what's going on, obviously, because that is not good for them, right? And it is just infuriating to me, the way that this is all played out. Because did you know, fun fact, that every single country, not every country, but 75 countries have already been in talks with Donald Trump in order to renegotiate, because that's what this is about. Want to know who hasn't been? Canada and
two countries.
China.
Yep.
Like, come on, man. Like, and the fact too, that CBC reporter there, I've seen her dozens of times on CBC. She's down in DC. That's kind of her station there. But like, was that the first time ever actually that there's been a CBC reporter asking questions in the White House?
It's the first time I ever saw it. And it was like, so can you drum it up some more? Ham it up.
Like, that's really weird that you would be there. You weren't there at all for the last number of months, I guess. Technically, you haven't been there the whole time. And then suddenly, oh, wait a second, there's all these weird things dropping about Mark Carney and all of these things with the Liberal Party and all these scandals. Ooh, let's get our girl to go
that's
back
actually
down.
that's something that I'm trying to wrap my head around. Like, ignore what's happening in Canada. Is Trump, do you, like, I've asked this question, do you guys think Trump is actually interfering in a sense? Like, does he legitimately have a preferred candidate? Like, does he want Carney? Does he want Pierre? Like, do you think Trump is really interfering?
I don't think so.
I don't think he is intentionally, but he means it, I believe, when he says that he'd rather deal with a Liberal. He means that for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't actually think he cares that much. I really don't. The one thing, though,
because on the, you know, in line with that thought, he's been noticeably quiet about Canada, which I appreciate. Like, that's one thing I get. Like, if I could personally speak with Trump right now, I'd say, Donald, just quiet. You're like nothing until this election is over. You know, like. Because inadvertently,
people have been telling him that for 9 years.
Yeah, we're not going to win that one. Yeah, I can hear that.
No, not happening. But here we are. Like, so we're in a situation. Yeah, Donald Trump says he would rather deal with a Liberal. Good point to that. I think there is a bit to that. Like, on the adversarial side of things, if he had Pierre Poilievre coming in, who's been talking, the rhetoric he says on the campaign trail, I'm not a fan of. What he said on that podcast that he was on recently, where he was talking about tariffs, not a second did he say Canada's strong and we're gonna, you're gonna retaliate with these tariffs. He actually had a nuanced discussion about how, threatening retaliation would actually bring Donald Trump to the negotiation table, and then we could work on getting tariffs rid of them entirely. And that's a better approach. This is what I've been saying that Pierre should be doing all along. But no,
to that point, and I understand that, and I've had a hard time kind of reconciling my thoughts with this too, because as a whole, do I like tariffs? No. Do I like reciprocal tariffs? No. I think all of them are dumb. But having said that, there's a portion of my brain where at the very least I can understand wanting to take a stand to show, oh, we see we're tough, even though 75% of our trade relies on the United States, and we know that, and we're totally screwing everybody over. But you still want to put on that good front, and I get it. Okay, I get it. You don't want to just like sit, okay, yes, Mr. Trump. And I understand that, but then also there's the other side of me where I just don't get it at all. And then even to say that, oh, well, this is to negotiate. Well, I mean, Canada and China, again, are the only two that reciprocated tariffs of any kind. And the other countries are actually all actively negotiating right now. And they didn't go that route. Actually, they just called Trump and said, let's figure something out. So like, I get it, but also I don't understand. Like, I don't understand what's going on here. And it does seem like it's a political weapon, 110%. And that is really not cool, to say it nicely.
Well, I think when it comes to the Conservatives, what they're doing is they didn't want to be caught with their pants down. And here's the problem. The Liberals and the media are pushing this narrative that Pierre Poilievre is Donald Trump. He's just like Donald Trump in every way, all this stuff. I don't think he's anything like Donald Trump. I mean, you look at his policy, look at the way he talks. He's completely different. He's completely different. The only thing is that they're both not communists, perhaps. I don't know. That's an apparent thing. But this is a tactic from the Liberals, from the NDP, from the mainstream media to paint Pierre as Donald Trump, because there's a lot of Trump derangement syndrome growing around, and a lot of people don't want a Trump-like person to take the office of prime minister. And that's a legitimate thing. And this is a tactic that they're using against him. So Pierre is kind of stuck saying, like, I have to be tough against Trump. I can't say that I'll be negotiating and be a nice guy to Trump. I'll look like that guy that they're trying to paint me as.
The good thing, though, about all of this is that, you and I were in Texas last week and we joked about this.
Jealous.
The trade war is almost over. I mean, like, it's happened. The negotiations are going on. We've done our thing. Other countries have done their things. I've been watching the markets. The markets are settling out. Everything's okay. And so we're in week 3 of this 4.5-week campaign. And the one trick pony that is Trump, this Trump derangement syndrome, is not enough for Carney at this point. So I think we're seeing a shift. We're still talking about it, but I think tomorrow we got the debate. We got the debate after the day after. We got another debate. We have other issues that are surfacing now, and on all these other issues, the luster, the shine on the Carney Liberals is wearing off real quick. So
do you think it's going to make a difference, though?
That's the $1 million question. I mean, like Clyde alluded to earlier, for 70% of our last 150-year history, we voted Liberals. So like people will tend to vote Liberals. They need a huge excuse not to vote Liberal. The last time, Harper got in because of a huge scandal, the ad scam scandal of the Chrétien era. And so the current Liberals had a whole ton of scandals. They were lucky they had this Donald Trump land on their lap, gave him a break. We got to make Donald Trump a non-issue and then remind Canadians that the Liberals right now, Canadians need an excuse not to vote Liberals. It's not the other way around. Because they have plenty of excuses to vote for the Liberals. They need an excuse not to vote for the Liberals. So we need to take away and we need to take away their current excuse, which is Trump.
Well, they're working hard at it, Marty. They're working really hard at it. In fact, they're even going to conservative events and placing buttons around the joint to get people to think that people are very Trumpian in the conservative camp. So this is a story that broke this week. Liberal operatives planted "Stop the Steal" buttons at conservative conference. And then they added this other one, cross out Jenny Byrne and yay for Corey Tonique. How do you pronounce that?
Tonique, yeah.
Tonique. So that one I found really weird that it was lumped in with all of this. But the "Stop the Steal" thing that's a phrase that Trump had. He put it out there when he didn't win the election. I don't know how you're allowed to say this on YouTube. There is a terms of service violation if you say it wrong. But when that happened with the election, and he said "Stop the Steal," that was the campaign slogan for thwarting Joe Biden being sworn in. Now it's being planted, and it was confirmed. It was actually confirmed that this was the Liberal Party was involved in this. I've got a video here. I'll just play this and then we'll react to it.
The Conservative Party is accusing the Liberals of attempting to bring American-style politics to Canada. Liberal operatives reportedly planted buttons with divisive messages at a Conservative conference in Ottawa last week, but the campaign trick seems to have backfired. CBC's Kate McKenna broke the story and has more.
So last week I covered this conference, the Canada Strong and Free Networking Conference, and it's an annual event where conservatives from across the country come and meet and talk about issues. And while I was there, I noticed a couple of buttons that I thought were strange. One said "Stop the Steal," which is an apparent reference to the 2020 movement to overturn the U.S. election results. And the other had the name Jenny Byrne crossed out and replaced with Corey Tonique. Byrne is the Conservative campaign manager, and Tonique is a longtime Conservative strategist who has been critical of the ongoing election campaign. So it's conceivable that people at this conference made these pins. And in fact, I spent time last week trying to prove that. But recently, I learned it was an operation undertaken by the Liberal War Room itself. Two operatives went to the conference and planted these buttons, and in an attempt to tie Conservative supporters to the politically toxic Donald Trump. I was having dinner with friends, and I saw some people who I recognized to be Liberal staffers. I overheard the person next to me, a man, who had already identified himself as someone who was working in the Liberal War Room, and he's talking about how he was at the conference and planted these buttons in a Liberal campaign-sanctioned false flag operation. So I confronted him. He knew I was a journalist. I said, if you did that, then that's a story and I'll report it.
Anyway, that's enough of that. So you get the gist of what happened. Even Mark Carney apologized for it. So it went all the way up the chain. this is something that actually happened. It's not just, rumor mill stuff. It went all the way to the top, and Mark Carney said people have been shuffled around. I guess they didn't even fire them.
That's the thing, though. They're shuffled around to what? Like, if they were already minor players, presumably inside of the war room, shuffled around where? To a better position? Like,
probably
where? If your task is being the button planter, I highly doubt that there's a lower place to go on the hierarchy. So,
I'll play a bit of devil's advocate on this one. This one didn't bother me. I mean, I went to a Carney event on Tuesday last week, and me and my buddies, we printed our own posters. I guess maybe it's because we're blunt about the fact that we're at the event, but we had elbows up for China kind of posters kind of thing.
No.
So I guess we brought our own posters. Actually, it was funny because we had a stack of them, and people kept coming up to us and asking for our posters because they thought we were just handing out posters. And we're like, no, they're for us. And we held them up. So I wasn't planting them, but at the end of the day, I'm not,
Dude, that's so funny. Why have I not heard of this?
Yeah, I should share the pictures. Maybe I'll put them on Twitter after this.
Well, what it is it's called culture jamming. So the idea is that you go and you pose as the people that you're actually against, and you act a fool. It's a real thing. It's a real tactic.
Nobody would have mistaken me for a liberal, right? I was a conservative protesting a rally. I guess it's a little bit different when if I showed up pretending to be a liberal and doing something. It goes back to the Confederate flags that were being flown at the trucker convoy, right? They were not flown by conservatives; they were flown by liberals. So I guess this is kind of along those lines. But yeah, what did Carney say today? They were reassigned. Those people were reassigned.
They've been reassigned to a new position. Now, this is interesting.
They have new genders, and they've been reassigned. They're on to something else now, folks.
Okay.
The thing about this one that really drives me nuts, though, and Marty, to you doing what you're doing, that's A-okay by me. You're a private citizen. You are free to live your life as you please, as far as I see it. But the thing about this one that I dislike the most is, number one, there are rules and regulations when it comes to things being done from a party during an election campaign, right? So obviously there were rules and regulations that were broken here. Right. And so that part I don't like. It'd be different if it was just private citizens doing this. That's okay. Yeah, that was was that even lame to do at that point? No, it was probably just expected, really. But the fact that it was orchestrated by the party, that it just seems immoral. It's
right. So to the stunt that I was doing, if the Liberal Party printed their own elbows up for China posters and distributed them at their own rally and pretended that it was done by conservatives, yes, I would that's dirty politics. Absolutely.
You're not
elbows up for China, by the way.
What's that?
I need a sign that says elbows up for China. I want one so bad.
Oh, we had actually, it wasn't my idea. It was my friend Dan. I'll share them with you guys privately. He had a whole stack of these things. And he was going to stand right there we were right in front of Carney, right past his teleprompter. And he was holding them up like this. Right. And he was like, what's the worst they can do? And but then we found out, how they kick us out of the rally at the Carney rally? I spoke about this last week, right? So at the Poilievre rally, when you register to go to the Poilievre rally, you're only registering so they can estimate the number of people there. But then once you show up at the Poilievre rally, it's like, welcome in, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. Carney rallies are different. When I went to the Carney rally last week, you have to register. Then once you show up, you have to show up your barcode and you have to show up your ID. And when you agree to the barcode and the ID, you are agreeing to the terms of reference of the Liberal Party, which says that attendance to a Liberal Party rally, there is a conduct. There is an approved conduct. So when I went there, even though you can't prevent me from going as a citizen, once I'm there, if I hold up that poster and they disagree with that poster because I'm violating their code of conduct, that's how they kick us out.
Off to the gulag, Marty.
Totally. And then me and Dan were sitting there, we're doing this, and all of a sudden, couple of guys are protesting, and then the big goons come along and grab him. I'm like, and I had to flight to Austin the next day, right? I'm like, Dan's like, we should do this, and I'm like, Dan, I can't afford to go to jail, man. I gotta go. I'm getting up at 3 tomorrow morning to go to Austin. So,
so the story continues, right? There's accusations of impropriety from another group of individuals who showed up at conservative rallies, and they're now saying, do you believe the polls? So this is the big thing. Some conservative supporters question whether the polls could be true or not. Now, people are throwing the accusation that these individuals are actually operatives for some other group. We have this from the Pleb saying, Doug Ford and his advisor, Corey, busted sending plants to discredit Pierre Poilievre's rallies. Doug Ford is intentionally trying to derail Pierre Poilievre. This move is straight out of the liberal playbook. Doug Ford is a liberal traitor. We never forget this backstabbing. So I don't know where he got the info that these people are but obviously here they are posing with Doug Ford. But maybe they don't trust the polls. I don't know. Maybe they actually don't trust the polls. Maybe they're just conservative through and through, whether it's Ontario or these are accusations that are gone flying out there. It's crazy. It's just craziness.
The whole story in itself, right? Like, what's going on with Doug Ford? Like, I don't live out east, so I don't know. I'm an observer. I mean, Jasmin, you're a little bit closer, I guess. But what do you guys think's going on with Ford? Like, what's he doing?
I think Ford signed a deal with Carney and the Liberals in some way, shape, or form. I think that was pretty clear. I'm speculating, but also just going off of some of the sources that I have in the region, I do genuinely, I'm of the belief for sure that Ford he doesn't particularly care. Like, he's a progressive conservative. Like, he's very liberal. That's what his party is out there. And so I think I don't think that he would be mad at all if the Liberals won again. I don't really think he cares that much.
Right.
And
so do you think he's making a deal that would benefit the people of Ontario, like in general, or is he making a deal that would benefit him personally?
I think it's a deal that will benefit the people of Ontario.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Him personally.
I think Doug Ford is a very skilled politician, and he just knows how to play. Go with the flow. If it looks like it's going this way, and he's making a calculated move. I think he's siding with Carney, but not saying that he's signing with Carney. Does that make sense? So
he did take a photo right before the election is called. Here's me with Mark Carney. Pierre Poilievre, I don't really know that guy.
I think Ford has more pictures with liberals than he does with conservatives, right? I mean, he's posed with just about everybody except the conservatives.
Yeah, he famously said this earlier in the week. So this is what everybody's talking about. Doug Ford basically ripping on Pierre Poilievre's campaign.
As for Corey, I've said right from day one, he's tough as nails, but he's the best campaign manager in the country. And to be very frank, if Corey was running that campaign, I don't think Mr. Poilievre would be in the position he's in right now. But it's still a lot of time left. We still have debates. At the end of the day, the people will decide which way they want this country to move forward. But sometimes the truth hurts.
I agree with that. I mean, you and I said, I said last week, I think Pierre should have hired Kinsella or somebody like that. I mean, Pierre's got the. I don't think Pierre has the A team.
What do you want, Jasmin? Should I hire you, Jasmin?
Yeah.
No, I'm raising my hand. This just came to me. So we showed in the last one there the do you trust the polls, right? You have Doug Ford there talking about how great Corey is and slamming again Jenny Burns, who is currently the one doing Poilievre's campaign, and saying that, if it was Corey and not Jenny, essentially that we wouldn't be having this problem right now. And then we also had the Stop the Steal, and then the Jenny Burns crossed out with Corey tonight. Is anybody
Okay.
putting those pieces together here?
This is
That-
where
that's-
I'm going with this.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is where
Oh,
I'm going.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm an idiot.
No.
This
I'm slowly. I'm introducing it piece by piece.
how
This is-
how have I been talking about this for like at least 3 days now, and that hasn't clicked yet?
Oh,
Ooh.
okay. All right. Well, we're putting the pieces together here, Jasmin. This is what we're doing.
But
So
it's not a race, okay? We just all have to get there at some
we
point.
just got to get there. We just got to get there. Now, the idea here is, well, Corey tonight, he comes up in this whole thing. What did he actually have to say in all of this? Now, I want to put this out there. I've been to the Conservative AGM. I know it was the Conservatives of British Columbia, but there were a lot of MPs and people running for MP at that convention. This is a place where Conservatives get to meet each other. I met some people on the inside, and a lot of people were saying similar sentiment and saying names, dropping names like Jenny Byrne and saying, not doing such a hot job in this. So let's actually listen to what Corey is saying. And if you got kids in the room, earmuffs, because he says some swears. Just gonna throw it out there. I didn't have time to blurb this out, but this is Corey and what he was saying about the campaign.
When you're running around in fucking hoodies saying don't believe the polling, like you were like the Flat Earth Society campaign, like that's what you've actually reduced yourself to.
But we don't know that's the view of the corporate campaign. That could just be followers.
Nobody runs into that, in a Conservative Party rally with like some unsanctioned, sweater. I know I've got a bad name with some people in the Conservative Party for pointing out at the beginning of the campaign that the election has pivoted towards Trump. That was true in fucking December. It was true in fucking December, and I know because
Is that Corey talking? That's Corey.
In which we
That's
were
him.
doing polling, and we're listening to that polling, and that was true in December, and it was true in January and February and March, right? But I see no evidence that they have actually polled and that they are actually like following polling and research and anything that is even remotely conventional in how you manage a fucking campaign. And that's why they're losing. And they're losing. Like, let's just pause and point out they have blown a 25 fucking point lead, which is like,
Dude, hire Corey right now. I like him.
Sometimes about campaign malpractice. Blowing a 25-point lead and being like 10 points down is fucking campaign malpractice at the highest fucking level. And I'm sorry to have to point that out, Conservatives, but that is the actual reality.
He's spelling it out. He's saying it as it is.
Hey, dude, how much shit did you and I take? I took an incredible amount of shit for saying those kinds of things. Like we've been telling, like if I would have done a better campaign management than what Poilievre has right now. Like I would have sent him. Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, that's.
What are they? So are they saying that they want the Conservatives to be harder on Trump? That's what he's getting at there?
No, just be conservative. Just ignore Trump.
That's
be
kind of
Trump-like without being Trump-like. Yeah, be Trump-like without being Trump-like. We said this all along. Trump laid out the perfect recipe. Like when Trump went to the WEF, the World Economic Forum, like 4 weeks ago via conference, and he laid it out, man. Like, I'm gonna kickstart my economy. I'm gonna bring back manufacturing. I'm gonna shut down my border and secure my border for my people. I'm gonna jack up my military spending. Blah blah blah. He laid out the formula, and we should have had the similar. It's a conservative formula. Pierre should have had the same exact formula without sounding like Trump. Like he could have done it.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard not to sound like Trump because he's so loud. But
because we all speak English.
Yeah, like he makes so much common sense that and if somebody says, well, you sound like Trump, you would just say, yeah, I'm common sense. Trump is common sense, but he's wrapped it in this crazy, make America great. Every industry I've ever worked for, every company I've ever worked for eventually comes back to that logo. I've worked in the oil patch for 35 years. We eventually come back to common sense, or let's get back to common sense, or let's get back to normal, or let's get back to great. Like those logos, those slogans are there for a reason. And so, and then whenever he was compared to Trump, he tried to distance himself from Trump or whatever. Like Trump got 70 million Americans took a ballot and wrote Trump on it. 70 million. Carney got 150,000 votes.
Yeah.
And he's the prime minister. Like, come on. Like,
so
they misplayed this. I mean, if we lose, I will freak out. Yes, if we lose, I will agree. It will have been the compare. I mean, we gave Scheer all sorts of excuses for losing. He had an open net and he missed on an open net. By the way, Carney missed on an open net when he came and played with the Oilers there about 3 weeks ago. But
that was net zero, Marty.
Net zero. But
I can't handle this. That's too many. That's too much. That was too back to back.
Yeah. Anyway,
so here we go. So we're
let's move on. Let's change.
Oh no, I want to throw the crescendo. Okay, I have the crescendo for this one.
Okay.
So this is where you and I we've been railing against this for months. We're saying the same thing. Kyle comes out and he's saying all this stuff. I'm like, what? Why are all these conservatives mad at this Kyle guy? Let me go hear what he's saying, and then I'm like, that's what I've been saying.
Yes.
What? Hold on a second. Well, where was the campaign? The campaign has left it open for the Liberals to do what the Liberals are doing. They put out those buttons, the stop the steal buttons, all of this stuff. And what is why is it working? Why does that work? Because the Conservatives are actually capitulating to this sort of mentality. And you can see it even at their own campaign rallies when they're kicking out guys for just happen to have a hat that's red. It doesn't say make America great again. It says make Canada great again, but it's the optics and they don't want the optics there. So they're willing to, this nice old grandpa is not allowed in the place and he refused to take the hat off.
They wouldn't let you in.
They don't let me. They like me if I take the hat off. Because they said it's MAGA. It has to do with Trump. It's nothing to do with Trump. I'm proud that I pay $50 for this hat. That's the only one in Canada. And they don't let me get in because I said make Canada great again.
They did this more than once, Clyde. He wasn't the only guy they did this to. They did it to somebody in Edmonton. Like the guy was driving out and he was being interviewed and he's like, they wouldn't let me in. So he drove away. Yeah, nice hat. Yeah, that's insane. Don't apologize, right? That's the old expression. Like we've been saying that forever. Do not apologize for being conservative.
I freaking love this hat.
Yeah, you should.
It's great. It's fantastic. No, and that's actually the best logo that I've seen. That's the best one I've seen because it's like it looks like MAGA, but with that one looks really good. Yeah. So, but this is the thing. Embrace it. Don't throw it away. Don't discount it. Turn it on the news media. When the news media goes and says, "Oh, you had these MAGA people," go and talk to the guy, and then have a clip ready where you're like, "You talking about that nice old grandpa that I had a chat with, and he had a make Canada great again hat? You're gonna attack my campaign by going after this grandpa, this nice old man? Like that should be the response." And then everyone would rally behind you, like, "Oh yeah, man, look at the guy, he's backing him up." Instead, they kicked him out, man. Well, and it's like, whoa, missed opportunity.
Again, Trump laid the path for that. He showed us how to do it. Trump wore his "Make America Great" hats, and everybody made fun of him. And he's like, "What? You're making fun of wanting to make the country great again?" Like, I mean, today I saw people trying to put down, the Canadian equivalent of Doge. Like, again, like. You're against government efficiency. You're against weeding out waste. You're against corruption. Like you turn it on them. You don't apologize for that. Nobody should have to apologize. Like, but they get to run around with a T-shirt that says "elbows up" and everybody goes. But if I have a hat that says "Make Canada Great Again," I get called a fascist. That's insane.
This is something I've been talking about a lot lately and thinking about a lot too. It's really just when you break that down to the smallest amount that you can, these people have been so manipulated, or I don't know how else to explain it. To me, it just feels like you've been absolutely misled and manipulated to get your vote, by the way, which makes it even more grotesque. But these people have been so manipulated into thinking that the United States is now our enemy. Well, that's pretty crazy to me, but alrighty. And then on top of that, they say that, oh, well, Donald Trump is bad. Republican states are bad. We should stop traveling to states. We're going to stop buying alcohol from red states, but we support democracy. And Donald Trump is a threat to our democracy. And it's like, hold on here. Wait a second. So you think that Donald Trump is a threat to our country's democracy because he's putting on 25% tariffs on some products? Huh? Which he's doing to the rest of the world. And while you're trying to defend democracy for your country, you're simultaneously doing everything you can to diminish it because somebody voted for a guy that you don't like. What? Yeah. Like I'm at a point with all of this where 9 times out of 10, if I ever make the terrible mistake of scrolling through like comments on Instagram or TikTok, which I try very hard not to do, I like it, but it bothers me. Like I feel it deeply because it is so frustrating. And I honestly feel like I'm like, is this a joke? Like, like Ashton, where are you, buddy? I'm okay. Let's admit that I'm being punked here and that this isn't real life. Cause this is, I can't.
Yeah. Look at Carney's most successful logo or slogan right now: fight, protect,
build.
I'm like, fight what? So your neighbor's ignoring you. Like I've asked that question. Like if my neighbor says, I'm not going to buy your pizza, I'm going to ignore you. How do you fight the guy who doesn't want to buy your pizza? Yeah. Well, there's only one way: make a better pizza. And then protect. Okay. Again, weird question, but what does that mean? You're protecting your neighbor, turned his back on you and he's walking away. So what do you need to protect yourself from? And then build what? But people,
maybe Marty,
it up. Like
maybe to fight and protect, we would have to build a military. And by building that military up, we might be just capitulating to what Donald Trump wants from us.
Yeah. I mean, we're all saying the same thing over and over. Like, Carney is the guy who's like, he's making fun of Poilievre for having 3-word slogans. And then what does Carney do? He has a 3-word slogan. Like, I'm sorry, folks, but fight, protect, build is a slogan. So
when are we going to fight and protect again and build against China? I mean, China they slapped us with 100% tariffs on canola, a few other products.
Let's move on a quick bit because I got about another 20 minutes here. So
can I just say something to get it off my chest?
Yeah,
you guys don't have to respond and we can just move on right away. If I have to hear Mark Carney say the word fundamentally one more time, I am going to freaking lose it. By the way, that's all. Let's continue.
Oh, that's one of my favorite words, actually.
And
in French, one of the words he uses in French all the time is a bad one. He uses point final.
Yeah, so I've heard that.
He tries to make the end of a sentence. He tries to stop the debate. Point final, and people and Quebecers are like, "Yeah, no, we're gonna keep going." Like,
yeah,
really? Isn't that condescending to say like?
Oh, in French,
and that's the end of the conversation.
He's extremely, actually, as a human being, he's condescending. He's very. That's what he said in French. Like they asked him a question, and he bluntly said, "I hate campaigning. I hate." Kissing babies, shaking hands, and watching cows. Like that's what he said in French. So
how do you get a whole sentence? Like how do you get a whole thought out of that guy without all the ums? I just don't hear it through all the ums.
Yeah.
I thought Trudeau was bad. Jeez, that guy.
Yeah.
Whoa.
It's funny too. Mark Carney's on so many panels. He's this world-renowned, amazing man who's a total expert professional everywhere. And, considering his resume, I'm actually rather shocked that you'd think all of those many meetings at the World Economic Forum would have taught him a few things about public speaking, but color me surprised.
Yeah.
So where did you want to go with this, Marty? Where did you want to go for the last?
Well, I wanted to go to a couple of other things that happened this week. I mean, we didn't. I guess we just talked about him in Quebec. I wanted to talk about this letter that was this what do you call it? This open letter that was published in the was it in the Toronto Star or what paper was it? I mean, there was an open letter denouncing those 9 ministers by those 2 RCMP officers.
So this is the CCFR. They did a write-up about it. I think they were one of the first. Breaking: Libs failed to act on foreign interference. Evidence just released in an open letter sent to Mark Carney. So it's directly sent to Mark Carney. I guess they sent it to some media publications as well, by Sergeant Peter Merrifield and Deputy Paul McNamara. I totally didn't pronounce that right. Retired. Also, it shows the Liberals government knew about foreign interference, but chose to ignore it at their own benefit. And the details down below, talking about who is implicated in this: Marco Mendocino, Dominic LeBlanc, Bill Blair, David McGuinty, the guy who wrote the NSTCOP legislation,
the usual suspects.
Christopher Freeland, all of them, the cabinet, the whole cabinet. That is basically.
And again, this is just an example. Like I'm just bringing it up because I want your viewers to go find this. But I mean, the mainstream media is definitely helping the Liberals. Like there's no doubt about it, because there's so many stories like this that are being completely suppressed, that are just not like, what's the mainstream media? I haven't turned it on, actually. If I turned on Global News, what's on Global News right now?
Trump is now threatening 51st state again, uncovered by CBC reporter. That's what it was on when I checked before we started this. So
no. Yeah. So
yeah,
you know
with this story, I was kind of, I don't know, because you see things online and they can look really legit, and I do my best to really, okay, where did this come from? Is this legitimate? And I was actually on the phone earlier today with an MP who just so happened to be door knocking with a retired RCMP officer, and I quickly was like, let me talk to that guy, and he felt pretty confident that this was very real, that the 2 sergeants, both the retired detective as well, were both very real people but then there's also a rumor going around that this is fake, but that the 2 people listed are real. And I'm like, how could that be fake if there's 2 real people's names on there? Because that would be a lawsuit like no tomorrow. Especially if one of them is currently an active serving sergeant right now. So it's interesting here, though, like every single person that was listed on here it's all the same people that were kept on. So that's weird to me.
So there was one other story that goes, because this is crazy that the media is not covering this one, as well as this next story. The next story is about a candidate for the PPC who was not residing in Canada, was residing in Mexico. She's been on my show, Megan Murphy. She's been on the channel. She's running for the PPC. She had her bank accounts frozen bank accounts. You think that this is 2022 and there's a protest going on, or somebody's disagreeing with the government? Well, somebody's disagreeing with the government, and they're doing it in all the legal fashion. And what is she met with? She's met with the government freezing her bank account just in time for the election. So she basically has been given no information on this. She went to access her funds before leaving Mexico to come to Canada for campaigning, running for office for the PPC party. She then, when she tried to access her funds, the funds were not available to her. She asked the bank what's going on. The government had called them and singled her out and said, freeze this bank account. Stop any funds from going in or out of this bank account. And it gets worse. It gets way worse. So they do this, and then immediately she calls up and she's like, "Hey, bank, can you fix this situation?" And they're like, "Oh, we'll send you off to this person. This is the person handling your file, the one who got contacted by the government or the government employee. Sorry, the government employee that was the case on the file just went on vacation for 2 weeks." So the last act before going on vacation, froze her bank accounts and then went on vacation, and no one else is allowed to touch the file.
That was their MO exactly during the the convoy. That was exactly how they did it during the convoy, with people mysteriously going on vacation, or they're like,
where we were in lockdown.
Yeah.
Lockdown vacation. What in the middle of February? Like, what the hell are you talking about?
Jesus, crazy.
I
Welcome
don't
to
like
Canada.
Like, it's nuts. Like, it's scary, actually. I have a question for you both. I'm sorry, because I don't mean to sidetrack too much. So, are you guys both pro defund the CBC?
Yeah, well, I'm going to a panel on that tomorrow.
Right.
I don't think that the CBC shouldn't exist. I think it should just be
just
on
not
its
taxpayer
own.
funded.
Yeah, on its own. Figure out your own model.
Actually, if it continued to exist as a government crown corporation, it should exist as a pure infrastructure organization. Sure, you got radio towers and recording studios that anybody can use. That's fine. You know, no different than the government providing a pipeline or a rail system. It provides infrastructure. Should somebody report the news work for the CBC? No, that's a conflict of interest as far as I'm concerned. If you're going to, the media to me is one of the pillars of our democracy. We need an independent media to report on what's happening in the government. And if you're paid for by the government, I don't give a shit, you're in conflict of interest.
So I would go even further than what you're saying, Marty, because basically the infrastructure that's put out, if they made a infrastructure for, say, bands to well, just people who have rock bands and they want to get started, they want to do recordings. Well, we're learning from Doge and how that's unfolding, and we're learning from the information that's coming out from these organizations that actually the government is behind funding bands that will radicalize people and all that stuff. So there is no benign way of the government just like helping rock stars become rock stars. Right. I just don't buy it. I just think the government is they would
still choose who gets to use. Yeah, they still would choose who uses the studio and who doesn't.
That's right.
Okay, so the reason why I'm asking that is on the topic of censorship, right? And censorship in the term of this. What's her first name again? Sorry.
Whose first name?
From the story that we just told about the bank account.
Megan Murphy.
Megan
Murphy. That's right. Yeah.
So, censorship in terms of the government having far too much control over your life, freezing your bank account, maybe locking you out of social media, that sort of thing. These are all things that Justin Trudeau's Liberal team, which is also Mark Carney's Liberal team, have all alluded to being very much in support of. We see this, which happens, which is just very shocking. And okay, great. You have also had another thing of government overreach. And the reason why I ask about the CBC is, I find there's a lot of people in our space who are on the right-leaning politics. That would have been a big mistake. And there's a fear almost brewing amongst a lot of people when it comes to censorship. And okay, well, if Carney wins, what is that going to mean for our future? And you hear stories like Megan Murphy's, and it's something that makes a lot of people quite fearful, myself included. And I kind of wonder sometimes, like, how do I reconcile that, though? Because even for myself, I'm a former broadcaster. I've been on CBC. I've never been employed by them, but I have been on segments in CBC before. And I love all the people who work there, but I absolutely think that the CBC should be defunded without a doubt. But then having said that, and that would absolutely result in people losing their jobs, and that breaks my heart, of course. But how do you reconcile that with also then saying, okay, so Poilievre wins and CBC is defunded, everybody loses their jobs and, essentially doesn't have their voice anymore, depending on what it was that they did, versus Mark Carney wins and now there's all this censorship and we lose our jobs. And I'm curious to know your answers for how you reconcile those two things.
Well, one's an authoritarian picture, and one is, the market operating, people deciding what they want to view. I mean, if we were doing a bad job, the market would just decide that, and they would stop watching our videos. People would just stop watching our videos.
I mean, there's no reconciliation on my part. I am so free market, like it just, I've had people try and put me out of business forever, and they've been unsuccessful because I keep providing a service that somebody else wants. So if it's not up to me or the government or somebody else to employ you just because you have no other skills, like
the free market.
I don't have an issue with that. I really don't.
I'm on the same page as both of you. It's something that has come up in conversation, and I'm like, I've never really thought about that before. I'm kind of curious what everybody else thinks.
Actually, let me expand on that a little bit. I mean, this is something we've talked about a little bit. When Poilievre gets elected and wins, he has a big job ahead of him. He has to cut government. Like not just the CBC, our government has never been, the amount of spending our government does is not even back to pre-COVID levels. Like it is so out of control. By my simple analysis, our government is at least 25 to 30% bloated. So that needs to be cut. Yeah, probably more than that. But by simple analysis, we need to cut back, like 100,000 jobs. And I would not sell that as austerity, because to the people that are going to lose their jobs, the way we deal with that is we kickstart the economy. The economy has to be kickstarted. And in fact, Carney talks about this himself. Like he wants to make Canada the greatest, economy in the G7. Dude, if that's what you want to do, you don't do that with government workers and bankers and real estate. You do that with loggers, miners, oil drillers, shipbuilders, and things like that. So, and if somebody doesn't want to get their hands dirty and work in those industries, well, then I have no sympathy.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of office jobs in those industries.
I mean,
as well.
me and Clyde, Jasmin, have you been to the US? Recently? I mean, me and Clyde were there this week. And it's fascinating, right? Like
those
Americans
work, baby.
They work. Like we went to this Texas barbecue place, right? And we showed up a little bit after lunchtime, and the guys are both like, they what the rush hour is over and they kind of want to relax. But we showed up and they perk up and it's like, hey, what do you guys want? Big smiles on our face and their faces. And do you want this? You want the fat cut, the lean cut? Everybody's happy. I'm happy to tip them. And we met people like that day in and day out.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas here, I gave the example on the flight, man. I never felt like asking the airline, the steward, like, hey, can I get another can of Coke? Oh, absolutely, gladly. Whereas when you're on a Canadian flight, it's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry to interrupt you. Like, I know you're only making $150,000 a year. Could I get another can of Coke? Like you're, yeah. No,
I roll and a
yeah, I have no. So if we defund the CBC, I got no problem with that.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think if you can't, I mean, the free market is the best democracy in the world. This is the thing. Everyone's talking about democracy and how great democracy is. The free market is the most immediate and just democracy out there. You only get a chance to vote. Well, you vote on all the things that you want. You vote on all the things that you don't want by not buying them. And this sends signals to entrepreneurs on whether they're going to make this widget or that widget or provide this service, provide that service. And we're all voting constantly on this stuff. When you get rid of the free market, you're getting rid of a huge democratic institution in the country. And that's what largely the Liberals have been doing with regulation after regulation after regulation, coming in and, stepping in and saying, oh, no, you shouldn't have a decision in this. We know better. You should listen to us and go by our decree. Well, how is that working out for us?
Yeah.
How is that working out for us?
This little chat has bringing up another point that I've been mentioning this past week. We're in week 3 of an election and not a single candidate has talked budgets. Like every election that I've ever lived through in the last, 30 years as an adult, budgets always came up at one point or another. And so far, like 3 weeks in, and nobody's mentioned the word budget, whether they'll run deficits or balanced budgets or anything else like that. Like this is for an election that is so important. It is also one of the weirdest elections. In a weird way, it's also one of the most boring elections I remember in a long time. Like there's like I'm bored of this stuff now. Like, I am trying to say like, let's move on. Like Trump bad. Like, okay, he's bad. Got it. Let's move on, man. There's like, whatever government we elect, we have to deal with for the next 4 years. And quite
they're
frankly,
not talking about anything that matters.
Yeah. And what's happening today or the next 3 months, it's not what's going to be happening a year from now. Like, what are we going to talk about a year from now? Actually, I don't even want to try and guess anymore. Like, me and Clyde played that game. Like, what's on your bingo card for the next 6 months? I don't.
No,
I'm not going there.
Not
going there. Not going there.
I'm personally starting to just feel a little bit stressed out because nobody has reiterated to me in a very long time from, an authoritative position of power, such as the government, whether or not the budget is going to balance itself. And we really need to know that, guys. And nobody's saying it. Is it going to balance itself? I don't know. I'm losing my mind here.
Balance itself. Are we going to grow the economy from the heart out? All those great lines.
Oh my gosh. Did you guys hear Mark Carney today when he was talking about pipelines?
Yes.
We're going to build a pipeline of talent.
Yes.
What the actual? What? So this whole time when he's been saying, oh yeah, maybe pipelines, maybe means no, by the way. Politicians say maybe, and maybe means no. If it's a yes, it's a yes. If it's a maybe, it's a no. But then today we're building a pipeline of talent. Why does that sound like a child, like a kid's school, like a reception? What the heck did they call those when you had kids and you were like the C for Christmas? A recital. It sounds like a freaking recital. The pipeline of talent.
Carney's even more hyperbolic than Trudeau, but he makes it sound better. Like it's, By the way, I did some research this week, and I compiled a list of 40 electoral promises of the last 3 elections by the Liberals. 2015, 19, and 21. And of their 40 major electoral promises, they only delivered on 3.
No.
Weed was one in the first year, and letting in 25,000 Syrian was the other one, and lowering the middle income tax bracket from 22 to 21.5%. Every other electoral promise was unfulfilled. And on the flip side, they made more bad things, like the carbon tax was never proposed, and that was shoved on us. Like, they have such a terrible record.
But nobody's talking. I mean, hopefully the debates will maybe hear some of that. We'll see.
Yeah.
Well, Carney's gonna celebrate the fact that he got rid of the carbon. He didn't. It just turned it to 0, and it's coming back. It's absolutely coming back. But hey, we're going to get into the next part of this segment. And if you're tuning in live, don't take off now. This is the time.
Don't take off. I'm going to leave you guys. So you guys have fun answering all these great questions.
I'm going to go. Goodness.
Yeah, I'm going to. Clyde, the way things are going right now, I might be able. Are you booked completely solid for Thursday, or could we move to Thursday? I'll let you know tomorrow, but definitely I can't do anything tomorrow, but I might be. I think the event on Thursday is going to get canceled. I have a sneaking suspicion the Thursday event is going to get canceled.
You think it's going to get canceled?
I hope it doesn't. I'm excited.
No. My event, which is the CBC
CBC. Your thing on Thursday.
I have a feeling they didn't get enough people to
Thursday. Thursday is the Sean Newman podcast, which is going to be airing here on YouTube on this channel. So if you're looking forward to the Sean Newman podcast, I will be there. And of course, Twos and Sean Newman, probably a bunch of other guests. I think Julian Newman's going to be on the show. We're going to try to get a whole bunch of people. So we'll see.
Okay.
Well,
I might join you for that one, then. So I won't stress it.
We'll get you all in there. Get you all in on that one. So that'll be airing on this channel. So anyone who's tuning in at that time, tune into this channel. Make sure the notification bell is rung. And
I don't want to be there. I want to go watch the CBC debate. Screw you guys.
Yeah. And I looked through the questions real quick. Trish, I'm sure she'll make an comment later on. Hi, Trish. Hi, Joe. Hi, everybody else. So I can't take the comments. I got to run right now. But folks, Jasmin, nice meeting you. Clyde, we'll do this again. Probably not this week, but we'll be back on Wednesday for sure next week then.
Sounds good.
Okay, take care. Thank you.
All right. Cheers, everyone.